Hi, welcome to Pieta. This is Leanne, and I'm just so glad that you're joining our study on rituals, the power of rituals. Tonight, I want to talk just a little bit about the history of rituals. Um, so the definition of a ritual is it's a set of fixed actions, sometimes words, performed regularly, especially as part of a ceremony. That's according to the Cambridge Dictionary, which defines that. But there's a difference between a ritual and a habit. So a ritual is intentional. There's an outcome desired. So let's say your ritual is your birthday, something like that, or you're going to celebrate somebody's birthday. The intention is that you're not just celebrating a birthday because you want to eat cake. The intention is I'm celebrating this birthday to make this person realize that they're special, that I'm glad they were born. That's intentional. If you light a candle before you pray, that's to get you ready to center yourself before you pray. So rituals they're intentional. A habit is something you just do. So if we were making a cup of coffee or something like that, a habit would be I get up first thing in the morning, I make myself a cup of coffee, and that's how I wake up. And there's nothing special about it. However, if I make my cup of coffee, I sit down and I think this is going to be my time to prepare myself for the day ahead, and I'm intentional about it, it becomes a ritual. So the same action can be a habit or a ritual. So that's kind of the difference between a ritual and a habit. A ritual is very intentional, and they are as old as can be. Archaeologists study rituals, and there are lots of rituals that we can't study, like birthday celebrations. An archaeologist is never going to find remains about that, but they will find remains around some rituals. And of course, the one ritual that they found the most remains around, I think, are either religious ceremonies, things like Stonehenge, which is, Stonehenge is 3000 BC, so 3,000 years before Christ was even born. They've also found burial sites of people that died 120,000 years ago. And they're these burial sites are very intentional. It wasn't just like get rid of a body or bury it to get rid of it, get it out of sight. They would put the oldest ones that they found were actually in modern day Israel. And they found whoever buried these people made them into like little fetal positions and buried them with great care and great love. Sometimes they would put little gifts in their things. The oldest gift that they found are some antlers, which they put on a child's chest 120,000 years ago. And somehow it was a gift, or maybe the child loved deer, or maybe it was some kind of way of like protecting the child in the afterlife. We don't know. But we know that they took great care in burial. So those are the oldest rituals that we can find. And of course, the Bible, which for many of us is the most ancient document that we read, it is packed full of rituals, which we'll explore more next week. But like, for example, even as God is making the world, there's a ritual to it. God creates something, and then God stops and says, it is blessed. And then God creates something, it is blessed. You see this ritual of even the first story in the Bible is already a ritual. It's a ritualized creation of the world. There's also Abraham, who is told to sacrifice his son, and God shows up and says, don't sacrifice your son. But we know from that story that human sacrifice and the sacrifice of animals was kind of prevalent in that day, and that was, 2,000 years BC. So rituals have been a part of society for as long as we can remember. And we don't know exactly when they started, but the more archaeologists study, the earlier they find evidence of ritual. And like I said, some rituals we're not going to find because they're not, how would you ever discover the ritual of saying, I love you every morning or every night to your loved one? You're not going to find archaeological evidence of that. So rituals we know are very, very ancient. They're very pervasive. And they span the history of humans on this earth. So here we are today, and I want us to look at rituals. And so these next 5 weeks, we're going to be talking about rituals. And so the question for today is like, what are they for? what do rituals matter to us? And one way that we can explore this is, number one, by looking at our own lives. What rituals have you been a part of, and how have they affected your life? For me, the funeral of my parents was by far the most powerful ritual that I've ever been through. And actually, it wasn't the funeral service as much as it was the visitation, the ritual of visiting someone after their loved one dies. And it was the last time that I saw my parents. They were, then they would close the casket. I didn't see it again. And I just remember this outpouring of love. And that ritual communicated to me that I was going to get through this loss that I didn't think I could get through. It just reminded me that there was community. So what I want us to do today is just think about, why do you think rituals matter? What's the power of a ritual? And then what would life be without rituals? Like, if you didn't have any rituals in your life, how would your life be different? Or would it? So spend some time pondering about rituals, and then I want you to really ask yourself, do rituals make a difference in your life, and how? Does it matter that you celebrated your birthday every year? Does it matter that you got to go to a funeral for a friend? What rituals do you do that keep you grounded today? And then, so that's, what rituals are meaningful to you? And then go out one circle wider and ask yourself, what difference does it make? And what would my life be without rituals? So that's our first lesson in our study, The Power of Rituals. Next week, we're going to look at the rituals in the Bible. So anyway, I hope you spend some time pondering this and discussing it, and I'll be anxious to hear from Lisa and Sharon kind of what you discuss. I'm intrigued. All right, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you for being part of Pieta. Would you like to end with our Pieta prayer? I'll end our time with the Pieta prayer. I have it memorized, but then I get scared to say it by memory when I'm on the camera. So let's pray. Let us be in the world with nothing to prove, letting go of all expectations and judgment. May we give and receive compassion. May we care for others and receive their care. May we love deeply and receive love. May we be in the world with nothing to prove. May we be Pieta. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.